Hey everybody, this is Claire, and this is Small Joyful Things. As always, I go to estate sales or thrift stores, or sometimes I buy things from Craigslist, and I'm always looking for things that personally appeal to me or that I think you guys might like or want to find out more about. And then I bring them home, try and find out as much as I can about them, and then tell you guys about them. So here's what I've got today. I have a very, very small little paperweight. I'll measure it in a second now. This, if you can see it here, it is a blown glass paperweight. And you can see it's got all these rather interesting swirls of black and white glass in them. It's really quite nice. It's very artistic. And there's obviously one giant bubble right in the middle of it. Very, very nice. Or at least interesting to me, if I could say that. This is probably the first glass paperware that I've actually bought. I have seen quite a number of them, but I generally pass over them, mostly because I look at the base and I see that they either have a rough base or they have like a made in China sticker or whatever, and they're essentially just mass produced. This is not to say that the work is not lovely, it's just that they're not hugely interesting to me as someone who's interested in, who wants to collect and look at vintage glass. It's possible they are vintage, but we have no way of finding it out. I wish I could get more information about like Chinese glass. I can't. So yeah. Anyway, this one I decided to pick up because it actually has a etched mark on the underside. And I'll get to that in a second as well. And I was looking at it going like, I think I know what that mark is. So I thought for $3 I was just going to take a chance on it. It is a very small little paperweight, but I thought, I'll try it anyway. It's an interesting looking little thing at least. And I thought it was, probably high time that I actually did do a video on paperweights at least. And again, I do see quite a number of them, and I see them in all shapes and sizes, like large ones and little, like ones with millefiori or like extra detail and everything in them. I've seen a couple that that essentially have little fish inside them, which seems to be a fairly popular motif. But I never really picked them up. This is the first one, and I'll get to why in a second. Very small, if we measure it up. It is only 2 inches across and about 2 inches high. Very, very small. So if you actually look at it, obviously blown glass, done quite well. It's quite hefty, it's quite heavy for the size of it. It's definitely serviceable as a paperweight as well as a decorative item. And then we have the etched mark underneath. And what can we say about that? And it says CG. And I had a feeling that this was going to be something interesting. I had a feeling that it was going to be going to be Scottish, and only because I generally have a passing knowledge about various glass and glass from wherever it comes in the world, and I definitely heard that Scottish glass tends, they do a lot of paperweights, so I thought that was a good place to start when I actually started doing the research. And funny enough, I came across the name of Caithness glass. And that's the CG that we have underneath. And I thought, wow, that's going to be interesting. That's going to be great. Caithness glass got a lot of collectible paperweights. And as it frequently happens on my channel, that is not the whole story. So let's take a quick look here. Okay, first of all, if we actually take a look at sorry about the glare from the camera and the light. If we actually take a look at 20th century glass, right? The wonderful resource, if you actually want to look up the etched marks of a lot of very well-known makers of art glass in the 20th century, you can see that we have a couple of Caithness signatures here, etched signatures. And you can see that this Caithness Scotland, Caithness Ireland, everything, this kind of doesn't look like what we've got. We literally just have the CG and some bars in the middle. Doesn't really look like anything. So on seeing this, the first thing I thought is that maybe this is a fake. Maybe this is like it's some other company. What's the possibilities we've got going on here? I thought it was worth a shot anyway, just to take a look and see, is there another company maybe called that uses the same initials? Where does the etch mark come from? And here's what I found. So glassmessages.com, there's a lot of old information here. Some of it, it's essentially survives because it's been archived. And we have a thread here from 2008 with a C IIG logo. And basically someone asking for an identification, sandblasted, whatever. And, well, what do they think it is? And someone has a nice, straight away, interesting information. This was interesting. It came from the Caithness site at the time in 2008, bearing in mind that was over a decade ago. As part of the production process, some unlimited edition paperweights do not meet the strict quality levels required of a first quality Caithness glass paperweight. These items are classed as second quality and sold through a visitor century factory outlets. These paperweights can be easily identified as second qualities. They carry no marks. In previous years, we also used the marking CIIG on the base to denote a second quality paperweight. So there we go. This is actually Caithness, but this is one of their rejects. This is basically one of the ones that they decided was not nice enough to warrant being marked and sold as part of their actual, as in some of their work. And I think it's nice. It's very artistic still, and it's made me wonder, what did they think was wrong with it? Because it's a very nice little paperweight. And it's a very interesting swirl and everything. Maybe they just found that the swirl was not quite... You can see it there, the swirl of the swirl of white and black here. I mean, they must have extraordinarily high standards, and yes, I'm assuming that they do. That this little paperweight, nice as it is, was just, it was not up to scratch. Now, the nice thing about this is that they were identified as second quality. They were sold through the visitor centre and in factory outlets. So this one probably was sold in the UK to someone who eventually came back to Vancouver, probably a memento or something like that. It's definitely an interesting little piece. And I don't really wonder at this point, how does glass from all around the world eventually find its way to Vancouver? Hard to say, but I think this is a souvenir. The cafe, I'm just going to do that for a bit. Hey, there you go. Maybe that's the reason. It doesn't spin. Yeah, so this is a souvenir. It's not really a collector's thing. Just someone liked the Caithness paperweight and decided to buy one and bring it home. So, what else have we got? I did take a quick look at other Caithness glass marks, and I found this, which is a better example of the C2-G mark. Although there seems to be a more recent one. That one seems kind of a little bit primitive. I'm quite comfortable calling this to be vintage. I say probably more than 20 years old, because that's very rough. It's not, certainly not that you can see that this is a cut and polished base and then has this sandblasted onto it. This is not. This was just blown, very basic smoothing, and then just etched, and that was the end of it. So what else have we got? We've also got Caithness themselves. They are still around. If you decide that you want to get into actually collecting paperweights, definitely, oh come on, emails, definitely take a look at them. They have phenomenal work. They do just, I cannot even describe. Now that their essential claim to fame, if we scroll down a bit and go to About Us. So they began in 1961. Here's a picture. Here's a picture of, I believe that is Queen Elizabeth, or possibly the Queen Mother. Hard to tell there. She is listed as being they received what's called a royal warrant, which is a thing that's done in the UK. If you've never heard of it, essentially it's like the royal kind of seal of approval that's given out by the royal family. It's going back for hundreds of years. It's this is the official supplier of something or other to the royal family or to the Queen, and they were recognised as a supplier of art glass. And the Queen Mother apparently was very into the paperweights. We have some information here about how they got started and essentially what they're up to now. They have there's 2,500 designs of the paperweights, and as far as I can tell, they're all named. They're very much into it, and they're very much into producing these interesting and novel designs. You'd think there's only so much you can do with swirling glass, but you should see some of the stuff that I've seen on eBay. This one, it's hard to see now. Oh, come on, iPad. Come on, iPad. This one I think is it's a little bit tricky to see here, but it's cut and faceted like a jewel, and it's engraved with the antler's head, and then has kind of stuff inside it. Look, they're really, really beautiful. So I can definitely see why people would like to collect them. Yeah. So Since the company's 50th anniversary in 2001, it has seen Edinburgh University student Jim Leary produce her first connection with Caithness. So people produce collections and everything. The first one, if we skip back here a bit, for the actual paperweights, because they weren't doing paperweights to start with. It was in 1969, and Colin Terrace joined as the new head of design and engraving in 1968, and he was basically the one to kickstart the paperweights. And the first one that they did was called a limited edition of 500 called the Planets. And I was kind of curious, like how much would that actually sell for? So if we go to eBay, if you want to get some of the planets, you will pay, if you see here, $2,748 Canadian and 35 cents. That is like basically for sale in the United States. There's a few others here, multiple hundreds of dollars. There's like a Venus, there's a Mars. A Venus is going for 733. That's a Neptune, 470. So the first edition is obviously the ones that are very valuable. I didn't fact there's actually not enough to have any sold listings in the last 90 days, but considering how rare they are, I'm not surprised, and they are ridiculously expensive. So nope, no exact matches. So let's just take a look at Caithness seconds. So if you go to that, well, we've got, essentially the little more mediocre ones, and there's only a few listed. There's a lot more of the actual Caithness ones listed, and they would actually have the marks on the bottom, and then they seem to go for, I would say, about $40 to $50 Canadian now. And then the seconds go for a bit less than that. If I just change and go to sold items, no exact matches. We do have some sold in, essentially international. There's nothing sold in the United States. Not surprising again, because the seconds are sold actually in the UK. But it's there's some of them are quite nice here, like $20 plus shipping. I mean, that's not bad considering I bought it for $3. Not great, not hundreds of dollars, but not bad. If you do actually see the planets, definitely get them. They're worth it. So there we go. I think it's a nice little thing. I would say that this is probably going to go up on Etsy. I'll sell it for maybe $25 with free shipping. I can definitely, it's not going to cost a whole lot to ship that. It's very, very small. A little 6x6x6 box. Nice bit of padding. It'll get wherever. It'll be good. So here you go. This is my small joyful thing for the day. As always, if you're interested in anything I do my videos about, just check the link to my Etsy shop down in the description. A lot of what I do videos about will eventually find its way there. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Bye-bye.